or I don't have time. And what this is a whole new world, again, ideally. So if you're going to open your own law firm and you're in collaborative practice and mediation, do not think that you're going to get out of law school and be embraced. Every conversation that I sat down, I must have had lunch with, it felt like 100 attorneys. And I often heard the feedback, what you're doing is unethical, Unmani. You should spend 10 to 15 years to 20 years doing this. And I said, wow, you know, I've talked to people who do this all around the world through the International Academy of Collaborative Practitioners. I've talked to people in Canada where there's a president of a local group, collaborative practice people pot up in local groups. The idea is you can trust people that you know as professionals, right? Because trust is important. Why? Because lawyers have a tendency to be suspicious. But if we sit around and have lunch with people, we can have that notion, okay, I know Judy, my collaborative practice co-counsel. She won't stab me in the back. We've had lunch together, right? So in Canada, a gal gets out of law school. She did this track, the non-adversarial track, right? She's president, this is a couple years ago, but was president of her local group. I got kicked out of my local group because they were like, yeah, it was all like nice and good for you to come there for a little while, but like you don't qualify for membership. I mean, that was only like, what, 8 years ago? And I had to like, what? What do you mean? And they said, look at the lawyer qualifications. You have to practice family law exclusively for 3 years before you can be a member. And I said, but hey, wait a minute. That means that I have to get all good at this. That means I have to spend all my time doing this. This is actually really hard. This is really sophisticated. This is a whole other skill set. Why can't I spend my time doing this? I'm willing to go into debt. I'm willing to make sacrifices because I want to do this. And again, because I was able to, through the IACP, to network with international folks, I learned about the gal in Canada, where there's just a different view. Hey, by the way, Chicago, right? They have one of the largest dockets in the world, right? Lots of litigation in Chicago. In Chicago, people can get out of law school and put up their shingle as a mediator, and it's not weird, it's not unethical, it's not bad. It's their legal culture. So if you plan to get out of law school and practice CDR here, and I may be overstretching my bounds of knowledge, but I would say in California, I would say you've got a heck of a road to hoe. So you need two things, or one of two things. You need some resource financially to make it through. Because you put on your website, you put up your website, you have your little virtual offices and your place at home, right? And then you go out and you network like mad, you give brown bag lunches at your office. I used to give like free, like come and learn about divorce. You know, I did all that kind of stuff. It took me probably 2.5 years before my phone was ringing and everything was fine, I didn't have to worry. Yeah, do you know in 2.5 years the debt I got in? Again, because I was stupid, overhead, you know, stuff like that, hadn't prepared financially. Right? So if you're going to do this in the Bay Area, again, there's many ways to do it. Are you married and your spouse would be okay with you not making good money for a little bit? I deferred my loans for like 2 years out of law school, right? On a hardship. Credit cards, this was, you know, I was doing this 8 years ago, right? Where you could juggle all the credit card stuff, pay one off, you know, all the 0%. It's not the same landscape right now, but could, you know, you do something like that, take loans from family, would they be able to do that? I mean, now I'm just going into that brainstorming place because that's what I do for work. But it's just to let you know, if you plan on doing this, you're not going to go out and 6 months later be netting $12,000 a month. It just doesn't work that way here. And remember, one of your big responsibilities, if you do this, is to actually get other training than just law school, right? Because we've talked a little bit today about this idea that law school prepares you for this. And in lots of ways, like I've had students in the past of mine say, how should I prepare? I'm in law school, loved your class, I'm thinking about doing this when I get out, opening my own law firm. You know, you gave that little lecture on it and everything. I'm thinking of doing that. You know what I say? Forget consensual dispute resolution attorney now. Like just forget it for now. Learn this. Learn it inside and out, get awesome grades, have a good time, right? Be able to speak the mindset, the lexicon, right? Memorize all this stuff, pass the bar. Because you're never getting here. as a legal consensual dispute resolution professional unless you pass the bar, right? So it's just one of the things that I want to bring out. If any of you today or any other day say to yourself, golly, maybe I do want to take my legal knowledge and use it in a different way, in a non-adversarial way, you know, that you are prepared properly to understand this world. You know how many times that I have to like manage attorneys that get brought in? People get to choose their own consulting attorneys, right? So I have to be able to meet these folks where they're at. I have to understand where they're at. I mean, I still go to kind of adversarial trainings and stuff. Why not? Get to see what they're talking about. And I don't mean law, I mean, of course I keep up on the law. I mean, you know, trainings that are about resources and, you know, ethics and different things like that for traditional litigation attorneys. So if you want to do this, it's all about never stop learning, right? Because again, you're going to need to supplement your skill set learned in law school, right, with the things that you offer clients. To give you an idea, again, this is through the International Academy of Collaborative Professionals. I've been exposed to what I think of as an amazing range of skill sets that people bring to their collaborative practice and mediation practice. For instance, there's this thing about where you tap your head in certain places, in certain sequences with certain rhythms, and then it helps people physiologically relax. I can't remember what it's called. And so like I got taught by a bunch of folks that starting every single consensual dispute resolution meeting with these people, the clients, the professionals, everybody, tap, 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 tap. You know, because it's not, I just didn't, it was hard for me to, because again, with my personality, with my way of doing things, I just had that, oh my God, I can't imagine doing that. But then they told me about how much the clients embrace it and everything else. There was one woman who practices up in Canada where she starts every meeting with her hands in Anjali Mudra and prays with her client. You know, and I had that interesting approach, yeah. You know, well, that's very, is that like really big in Canada? You know, but thanks, that's helpful. So it's to give you an idea that if you do this, you're going to have to go out into the wilderness and define your own identity, not only in finding clients, but in being who you are. Are you going to be a tap-tap-tappy person? Are you going to be a pray person? I mean, there's actually someone who practices here that in a collaborative meeting here said, all right, now we're all going to pray to Jesus. And the other collaborative co-counsel didn't expect that, almost fell out of their chair. They were like, oh my gosh, we're bringing in religion into this divorce process? Did you get buy-in from me, your co-counsel? Did you get buy-in from my client? I don't know if my client's prepared for that. That's a big, ooh, right? So your resources are going to come and be a reflection of you, right? I have a tendency to be kind of, you know, I'm like the all business type. All right, so you're emoting tremendously. Let's look at our options. You know, because that's just the way that I like to do business. I mean, like I have a colleague that I adore, right? His name is, he's got his own name, not mine. And I am his biggest fan. We have lunch, usually we try every quarter, right, with another colleague of ours. And I recommend his practice all the time, right? It's like, you know, because I encourage people to look at other mediators and all of that. Again, I don't want clients, I want people who want me. And so, again, I think he's the best. And I asked him one day at lunch, why do you never recommend me practice? And he's like, well, because I don't like your practice. I don't like your orientation. You know, I think that you're all like all business approach and assessing and, you know, this whole interdisciplinary thing. I just like to get down and get juicy on clients, do it all myself, really work on some deep, deep level healing in every single session. And boy, we're so different. But again, I admire him tremendously, and he is fabulous at what he does. But clients choose him. And get this, clients have left him and come to my office. And then they want buy-in, that I think he's terrible. And I'm like, I'm his biggest fan. But you know what I can tell? I can tell that you guys weren't a good fit. So if you're going to do this and open your own law firm, no overhead, constant education. Yeah, reach out to your colleagues, but don't cry when they don't support you. You know what I mean? And figure out who you are as a person and how you're going to develop that personality to be of service to your clients in a sense, honing the services that you offer, right? whether it's being an expert in professional non-defensive communication, right? Like David Fink, all right, a super lawyer here, graduated from GGU Law, right? I'll let you all know, because you're thinking about opening your own practice, bills $500 an hour. Yes, that happens, because he's fabulous. And what he's done is he's focused a lot of energy, time, commitment, training, and practice into being adept at professional non-defensive communication. And it has imbued every element of his practice, even when he private judges, because David he does services on both sides. I consider kind of limited, because I just said, oh my God, I can't be good at all that stuff. I'm just going to stay over here. But, you know, so that's just to give you an idea again of using your personality, and then maybe having that same thought that I did, which is, you build it, and they will come. But just do it in a way that's more sophisticated and more informed than I did.
Question, you can jump in because we are running out of time. So that may be a great wrap up. I don't know if we have time for one or two quick questions. I know there's another class in here after.
You know what I was going to say is that, you know, let's say concludes me talking here today. But if any of you have any questions that I wasn't able to address, or you'd like to speak to me, I'd be happy to chat with you out in the hallway. And I do want to let you know that the International Academy of Collaborative Professionals is having their conference, which, let me tell you, that was the one thing that I held on to every year to give me the confidence to do what I do today. They're here in San Francisco in October, and they are looking for students to volunteer to come in on Saturday and/or Sunday morning and network and be a part of the conference. I mean, I have an image of walking around with a bunch of students and introducing people to people. You know, hopefully that would transpire. And what you would do is during the workshops, you would be assigned to a workshop where you get to participate. I mean, collaborative practice professionals adore students because they're like, oh, someone who might get good at this from the get-go and not have to unlearn all of that. You would just act as a room monitor during workshops and otherwise be able to roam free and network, and that's happening at the end of October. And so if you're interested, you can email me through Suzanne or anything else, or I'd like to chat with you about it in the hallway if you're interested. So thanks so much for all your time today. I look forward to getting to know all of you. And don't forget, Mediation and Collaborative Lawyering is being offered this spring, right? It's a 2-unit class. It's super fun. It combines practical, lecture, and dialogue between me and all the students. So it would be nice to see you there. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thanks.